Okay, so sorry for the cutoff, but here we will continue the presentation. So all adults, parents, teachers, and all adults need to teach students that social media can and should be utilized as a tool for good. So instead of posting something negative about your friend, consider how it would make them feel and change your mind. Don't post anything negative about anybody online, and don't do that even in person, because it'll make the other person feel very bad about themselves, and they could possibly become very depressed and anxious, and unfortunately it could even lead to committing suicide. So you have to be very, very careful of what you're going to do online, and also what you're going to do in person with anybody that you are conversing with. So it is time for parents and all adults to wake up and take action. Don't wait until a mental health issue arises. Start by helping your children now, before their brain is fully developed and before it's too late. So here we have two videos here. So Tom Kirsting, the author of the Disconnected book, 2016, talks about anxiety here, and he talks about the negative effects of social media. Also here, this video on YouTube by TEDx, Alison Graham talks about how social media makes us very unsocial. So today we post a lot of things online, like for example when we went on vacation or when we went to a party and so on and so forth. However, that really makes you very unsocial because you're posting it online, maybe just to get some likes and some hearts and some comments, but it really does not bring you closer to the people that you are posting with. It makes you disconnected from them because you're not interacting with them in person, but you're just posting something for fun online. And really, what is the purpose of posting whatever you are posting online? So you have to consider what is the purpose behind your post, whether it's really necessary to share personal information. No, it's definitely not necessary, especially information about your children or about yourself. Personal information should be personal, should not be shared online. So social media, unfortunately, a lot of times makes us unsocial because we're so attached to social media. We don't know how to communicate very well face to face. We don't know how to have meaningful conversations with our children, and this is very, very important. So parents need to invest their time and make sure they have enough time to spend with their children every day, to talk to them about their day and how is school going, and to see whether the children are struggling at school or struggling in any aspect of life, and to have that meaningful one-on-one conversation with their children every single day. Both mothers and fathers have to do that. So social media, unfortunately, can make us unsocial, and we have to consider whether really our children need social media, or if they are at a young age where the social media is harming them, we should not give them social media at such a young age. For example, a child in 3rd grade should not have a smartphone, because it is as if you're giving a child access to pornography when you're giving him a smartphone at 3rd grade. So you have to consider what is right for your child, and remember that as a parent, you call the shot. You're the one who's responsible for your child. You have to do what is right for you and your family, and consider your values, and not just to conform to other parents around you. For example, if a parent around you gives their 3rd grade child a phone, that doesn't mean you should automatically give your child a phone. Even if your child begs you for it, you should consider and do what is right for your child, because you're responsible for them, and your decisions will affect them in the long run as they grow up and become adults and members of the workforce. So the media can highly affect a child's social growth, and so you have to be very, very careful. So unfortunately today we are very disconnected from each other. A lot of times parents are very, very disconnected from their children and have no clue of what is going on in a child's life, in their children's lives, and this is a really big problem. Really, you have to be aware of what's going on in your children's lives every single day, whether they are struggling at school, whether they are being cyberbullied at school, whether they are being bullied in person, whether there is a problem with the teacher in the classroom. You have to really be aware of what is going on with your child every single day. You should not be very disconnected. And also, as parents, you have to be the role model for the child. So you cannot be constantly on your phone and texting and doing a lot of other things and posting something on Facebook when your child is trying to have a conversation with you. You have to give your child time, and you have yourself as a parent have to disconnect from the social media as well, in order for you to have a meaningful conversation where you can learn about what the child is going through, and you can help them on a daily basis with their struggles, such as their homework, whether they are having mental or physical issues, and you have to be aware of what is going on with your child every single day. So you should not be completely disconnected from your child, and do not give your child a phone and expect them to be able to do homework at the same time. It really doesn't work. We cannot multitask. Multitasking confuses the brain, and I will get into depth about that later on. So unfortunately today, some of the realities is that outside of school, according to Tom Kirsting in 2016, outside of school, the majority of hours spent on the computer are spent on the computer playing video games outside of school. A lot of times you have to be careful whether your child is doing really badly in school or is unable to focus in school, whether your child is sleeping at school, whether your child is lying about video game or computer usage, whether your child is choosing to socialize with video game friends rather than with real friends, and this is very, very important to notice that. You don't want your child to be constantly connected to online friends and not have any friends in person at school, and maybe add soccer and tennis games and so on and so forth. Also, you have to notice whether your child is dropping out of sports and extracurricular activities. You have to notice whether your child throws tantrums when to turn off their games or their electronic devices. And you also have to notice whether your children are being irritable, or they cannot focus, they cannot concentrate when they are not playing games or on their smart devices or tablets or iPads and etc. So this is how the media can affect children's social growth. So today's children are actually known as gamer kids. So you have to be careful. Don't let your children spend many, many hours playing video games. It will hurt their vision. It can hurt their neck and their back. And it can also cause a lot of problems in the long run. Consider what this can do to your child in a couple of years, perhaps when they are in high school or in college, and how that will affect them in the long run. So you have to always think of the big picture as a parent. So next we will discuss the media's effects on emotional growth. So this is a video by Tom Kirsting, whether we are addicted to Facebook or not. And unfortunately today we are addicted to Facebook in a lot of ways. The people who made Facebook make it in a way that is addictive, that you're constantly scrolling up and down through the screen, you're seeing what your friends are doing, you're constantly comparing yourself to others, which is dangerous in a lot of ways, because when you compare yourself to others, you may feel that you are not a good person, and you may be depressed and anxious. And actually there are studies which prove that Facebook specifically can cause depression a lot. So really consider whether it's a good idea or a bad idea for your child to have a Facebook account. And in general, I think it's not really a good idea for children who are young and do not understand what a lot of the things they are doing or posting online. It is not a good idea for them to have online accounts unless their parents are constantly monitoring and seeing what the child is doing on the accounts. So this graphic here tells us that teenagers say social media helps strengthen friendships, provide emotional support, but can also lead to drama, feeling pressure to post certain types of comments. So 81% of U.S. teenagers feel more connected to their friends with social media. 69% think that it helps teenagers interact with a more diverse group of people. Also, 68% feel as if they have people who will support them through tough times. So those are the ones who think that social media is positive for them, these teenagers. However, 45% of U.S. teenagers feel overwhelmed by all of the drama on social media. 43% of U.S. teenagers feel pressure to only post content that makes them look good to others. 37% feel pressure to post content that will get a lot of likes and comments. So this is a study done by the Pew Research Center, and this study was done in 2018. It's called Teen Social Media Habits and Experiences. So respondents who did not give an answer or gave other responses are not shown in this graphic. This survey was conducted in March 7th through April 10, 2018. So this graphic over here talks about an emotional roller coaster. So unfortunately, when social media, a lot of times, and in life in general, everybody goes through emotional roller coasters. So here it says, "Just let me die." And as this person is going through this emotional roller coasters, they ask themselves, "Am I feeling better?" And they reach a peak here where they say, "Oh yes, I'm feeling a bit productive." But then the roller coaster goes down, and they're like, "Wait." They're like, "No, I'm so sick of this. Please finish me." And here, back to the start. So the start here says, "Just let me die." So this is says, welcome to Soul's emotional roller coaster. So a lot of times all of us as adults and as teenagers and kids in general go through a lot of emotionally disturbed times, maybe a psychological illness, or perhaps just anxiety or depression, or, well, those are psychological illnesses, but sometimes we can have an anxiety in a minor level where it's not fully diagnosed as a psychological illness. So you have to be really careful of what you're going through. And when you're going through a difficult period, do not post it online, because what you say online can come back to you later on in your life, especially today. And employers often look at people's Facebook posts, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all kinds of accounts to make sure that the person can fit in the job, and they a lot of times go through that. So you have to be really careful of what you post online, for especially what children post online, because it can affect them in the long run when they do apply for careers in the future and for colleges and so forth. Next, we will discuss the media's impact on family growth. So handheld devices, how they impact emotional development, the negative effects of social media on family relationships. So Tom Kirstein discusses how handheld devices impact emotional development of children. So emotional intelligence, known as EQ, is the ability, according to Tom Kirstein in 2016, emotional intelligence, EQ, is the ability to use, understand, and manage emotions in a productive and healthy way. It is what helps us communicate effectively, empathize with others, and overcome life's challenges. Studies have shown that people with high EQs have better mental and physical health, build stronger relationships, and perform better at jobs. So according to Daniel Goleman, a well-known psychologist, he created something known as the mixed model for emotional intelligence. This is what Tom Kirstein states in his book in 2016. And this mixed model for emotional intelligence teaches us how to manage difficult emotions. They include self-awareness. Self-awareness involves knowing your own feelings. Involves knowing what your emotional triggers are and how you're going to deal with them when they occur. Another aspect is self-management. Self-management involves keeping the emotions in check when they become disruptive. An example would be the ability to control outbursts or to talk calmly with someone during a disagreement. Another important part of the mixed model for emotional intelligence, or EQ, is motivation. The majority of people are motivated by outside things like money or other luxuries, according to Daniel Goleman, a well-known psychologist. Emotionally intelligent people are intrinsically motivated. They know that the outside stuff cannot provide joy, and they know that the outside stuff cannot provide joy, and happiness, so that does not motivate them. They are motivated for the sake of pure joy or for being productive. The fourth point of this mixed model of EQ is empathy. The first three categories deal with handling one's own emotions, while empathy is the ability to support the emotions of someone else. It is the skill of reading another person's emotions and responding appropriately. Another aspect of managing difficult emotions is social skills. This is the ability to deal with others. People with strong social skills can find common ground with others at work, school, or anywhere. It is the ability to be persuasive. Kirstein 2016, pages 63 and 64. So those are the 5 ways to manage difficult emotions. Number 1 is self-awareness. This is a mixed model for emotional intelligence. Number 1 is self-awareness. Number 2 is self-management. Number 3 is motivation. Number 4 is empathy. Number 5 is social skills. This video talks about the social media pros and cons, and is that social media can lead us to compare ourselves. They are addictive. They harm face-to-face human interaction, and that false information can spread quickly through social media. So you have to be very, very careful what your children are posting online and what you are posting online as well. And the next thing that we'll discuss is how multitasking affects the brain and the way you think. This video by Clifford Nass, by a researcher in Stanford University, Clifford Nass, he talks about that multitasking is very bad for your brain. He elaborates on a plethora of topics from team building to the effects of multitasking. Through NASA's extensive research, multitasking provides major long-term deficits in memory and management and the